You seem to be doing everything right. Your rod is fine, the spot is good, the weather is perfect, but there's still no fish. If you're float fishing but keep going home with an almost empty keep net, chances are you're making one or more common mistakes. In this video, I'll walk you through 11 key errors that can literally ruin your catch. And here's the important part. These tips only work as a system. Skip one, and the rest might not help at all. So watch till the end to find out exactly what's stopping you from fishing consistently and with real pleasure. Mistake number 1. Incorrect float weighting. This is one of the most common yet underrated mistakes. Many anglers just attach the weights randomly or don't weight the float at all, and then wonder why the bites are barely noticeable or why the fish keep getting off. The float must be weighted precisely so that only the antenna is above the water surface. The rest should be completely submerged. Why is this important? It's simple. When a fish tests the bait, it pulls on the line, and if it feels even the slightest resistance, it drops the bait. This is especially critical when targeting cautious fish like crucian carp, roach, or bream. These guys don't forgive sloppy setups. If the float bobs too much, rides the waves, or just lies flat like a buoy, the fish immediately gets suspicious. But when the weighting is right, the float becomes nearly invisible in the water. And you not only see more bites, you see the ones that truly matter, the ones you can strike on and land the fish. It might seem like a small detail, but it's from this that a truly successful fishing session begins. Mistake number 2. Improper hook setting. A very common misconception among anglers is this. The sharper the hook set, the better your chances of landing the fish. But in practice, it's often the opposite, especially when you're fishing with thin line and small hooks. A sudden, aggressive movement can tear the fish's lip or even snap the line. This is particularly risky if you're using a leader that's 0.12 millimeters thick and hook into a large crucian carp. When your float is properly weighted and only the antenna slightly dips under the surface, that's not a signal to yank with full force. On the contrary, it's the perfect moment for a quick but gentle hook set. Ideally, you just lift your rod hand upward, no violent jerks or panic. The hook slides smoothly into the fish's mouth, and you maintain full control. When done correctly, the fish often starts to swim off on its own, and you can feel the tackle doing its job. That's the key. Your task isn't to rip the fish out of the water, but to calmly lock in that precise moment when it's taken the bait. This becomes especially important when you're targeting cautious species, where every bite is worth its weight in gold. Practice making that short, instinctive hook set until it becomes second nature. That way, you won't lose fish because of overreaction or hesitation. And remember, a hook set isn't about brute force. It's about perfect timing and technique. Mistake number 3, incorrect baiting of the hook. Many anglers, especially those who learned from old books or from their grandfathers, still hide the hook tip completely inside a worm or maggot. The reasoning is simple. They think the fish will see the metal and get scared. But the truth is, fish don't know what a hook is. They're not afraid of a tiny piece of metal sticking out. What really scares them off is something else. Resistance, when they try to take the bait, line tension, or the inability to swallow it easily. When the hook point is hidden, you lose precious time trying to pierce the fish's mouth during the hook set. This is especially true when the fish is biting gently, tasting the bait, or taking it halfway in. In such cases, the hook often slips out along with the worm, and you're left with nothing. A much more reliable method is to bait the hook in a way that lets the hook point slightly stick out. It doesn't need to be fully exposed, just uncovered enough to catch instantly during the strike. This small adjustment greatly increases your chance of hooking the fish right away. It's especially important when targeting small to medium-sized fish that bite quickly and don't hold the bait for long. The approach is simple, but delivers consistent results. Don't be afraid to show the hook. Be afraid of losing bites because you tried to hide it too well. Mistake number 4, not using a leader line. This may seem like a minor detail, but in reality, it's a critical component of any float fishing setup. A leader isn't just a piece of line. It's your insurance policy and a tool for fine-tuning your rig. Its diameter should be thinner than the main line by about 2 or 3/100ths of a millimeter. For example, if your main line is 0.14 millimeters thick, your leader should be around 0.12. Why does this matter? Simple. If you get snagged, especially on a snaggy bottom or in heavy weeds, only the leader breaks. You quickly pull out a spare from your tackle wallet and keep fishing without losing your float, weight, or time. Now imagine you're fishing without a leader and get snagged. The line can break anywhere. You lose gear, and you waste time rebuilding everything. That's not just inefficient. It breaks your rhythm. On top of that, a thin leader makes your rig more sensitive. This is especially important when targeting finicky fish that don't tolerate resistance. They take the bait gently, test it, and feel every bit of unnatural tension. With a thin, soft leader, they don't feel anything suspicious. That's why you should always use a leader and keep spares ready. This simple rule will save you time, tackle, and fish, especially when it matters most. Mistake number 5. Using a line that's too thick. Many beginners believe that the thicker the line, the more reliable it is, and the higher the chances of landing a big fish. At first glance, that sounds logical, but in reality, it's often the opposite. Thick line looks unnatural in the water. It reflects more sunlight, is harder to hide, and creates unnecessary resistance. This becomes especially noticeable in still water and when targeting cautious species like crucian carp, roach, or bream. These fish don't care about line diameters, but they're extremely sensitive to anything that feels unnatural. If your rig seems too stiff or heavy, they'll simply swim away. Sure, thick line might handle a trophy fish, but the real question is, will that trophy even bite when the setup scares it off? It's better to lose one big fish in a season than to go weeks without a single decent bite. The optimal choice is a thinner, high-quality line that can handle the stress, but still keeps your presentation delicate and realistic. It results in more bites and gives you a better chance to actually catch fish. This is especially important when you're fishing with technique, not brute strength. So if you're looking for consistent results, start with the basics, switch to a thinner line, and watch how the fish respond. Mistake number 6. Not using a landing net. Many anglers underestimate this simple tool, especially when heading out for a casual fishing trip without aiming to catch a trophy. It often seems like a landing net is unnecessary. I'll just grab the fish by hand. But in reality, this mindset can lead to major disappointment right at the shore. This is especially true if you're using light lines and delicate tackle. Imagine this. You're bringing in a crucian carp weighing about 1 kilogram and 200 grams on a leader that's just 0.12 millimeters thick. The fish is right near the bank, and you decide to lift it over your head. Then suddenly, snap, the line breaks. Your entire rig, float, weights, and fish disappears into the water. All because you didn't have a landing net. This tool gives you control at the most critical moment, when the fish is tired but still fighting. The best choice is a landing net with a handle at least 3 or 4 meters long. That way, you can scoop up the fish without pulling the rod close to the bank. It's especially useful when you're fishing from a high ledge, in reeds, or off a pier. A good net reduces the stress on your tackle and gives you peace of mind, even when an unexpectedly big fish takes the bait. So don't see it as an unnecessary accessory. It's your insurance policy for the most important part of the fight. Mistake number 7. Ignoring ground baiting. This is one of those mistakes made by both beginners and experienced anglers, especially when they're relying on luck or fishing in a familiar spot. Without ground bait, you're fishing blind. The fish might be nearby, but not exactly where your rig is. And even if it swims past, without scent, flavor, or fine particles in the water, it has no reason to stop. That means you could sit there for hours without seeing a single bite. Meanwhile, just a couple of bait balls the size of an orange can change everything. That's often enough to draw in active fish within 20 minutes. This is especially effective in still water. where there's no current to carry the bait away. It's very important to follow the correct sequence. First, you cast your float and find a target spot, using a fixed landmark on the opposite bank for accuracy. Ideally, this should be a bush or tree, not a cow or car, since those can move. Then you take your bait balls and throw them not at the float, but about 50 centimeters closer to yourself. That way, with the force of the throw, the bait lands exactly where it should. Your ground bait mix should be crumbly enough to start working immediately, but dense enough to reach the desired depth. This simple step significantly increases your chances of getting bites and can often turn a slow fishing day into a productive one. Mistake number 8, using 2 hooks. At first glance, the idea sounds logical. If you use 2 hooks, you'll catch twice as many fish. But in practice, the opposite usually happens. Instead of double the catch, you end up with double the tangles, especially when the baits are different. The current is weak, or the fish are biting carefully. The hooks often twist around each other, the line gets tangled, and during retrieval, everything can knot up so badly that you waste precious time untangling your rig. On top of that, detecting bites becomes harder. 1 hook isn't a limitation, it's a convenience. With a single hook, you can easily change your bait, experiment with depth, adjust your weights, and vary the presentation. Bites on 1 hook are always easier to read. The float reacts more clearly and precisely. And if you want to try different baits, just do it in sequence, not all at once. First maggot, then corn, then worm, all on the same hook. This will give you just as much useful information as using 2 hooks, but without the chaos. This is especially important when fishing in tough conditions, where every clean bite matters. So if you want more consistency and fewer problems, you'll get a lot more benefit from using 1 hook than from 2. Mistake number 9, using the wrong rod length. It might not seem like a big deal, but the length of your rod plays a major role in your overall comfort, casting accuracy, and fishing results. If your rod is too long, you'll get tired faster, especially with frequent casting and during the fight with the fish. A long setup is also harder to control in tight spots, like when you're fishing from the bank surrounded by bushes or tall grass. On the other hand, if your rod is too short, you simply won't be able to reach the right fishing zone, especially if the fish are holding further from shore or near the opposite bank. The ideal setup is when the length of your main line, including the leader, matches the length of the rod. This gives you maximum control, helps you place the bait exactly where you want it, and reduces tangling during casting. Finding the right balance between rod length and fishing distance is the key to effective bait presentation. This is especially critical in float fishing, where precision often determines whether you get a bite or not. So don't chase extra length or go too compact. Choose a rod length that suits the conditions, and your gear will start working for you, not against you. Mistake number 10, incorrect distribution of weights. Many anglers make the common mistake of placing all the weight in one spot, usually in a single large split shot right below the float. As a result, the rig becomes heavy, stiff, and moves unnaturally in the water. This kind of presentation looks suspicious to the fish, especially when they're biting gently or just testing the bait. Proper weight distribution is key to a sensitive and effective rig. The weights should be placed in a stepped pattern along the line. The upper split shots act as stabilizers. They help keep the float steady, especially in wind or current. The middle weights ensure smooth, controlled sinking of the bait. And closest to the hook, you should place the smallest, lightest weight, the dropper. This is the first part of the rig the fish interacts with, and it sends the clearest signal through the float's antenna. The entire setup creates a natural, slow descent of the bait, and the fish only feels the dropper, not the full weight of the rig. This is particularly important when fishing for cautious species like crucian carp, tench, or bream. No sudden movements, no unnatural tension. Everything should appear light and natural. If you want a visual guide to this weight layout, I've shared a diagram in my Telegram channel, pinned at the top. Check it out to avoid common mistakes and build a smarter, more efficient rig. Each of these mistakes might seem like a small thing, but it's exactly these small details that make up a successful and productive fishing trip. Apply all the tips together, and you'll notice a difference that might really surprise you. And if you already knew all 10 points from this video, then you're clearly an experienced pro. Fishing isn't just about the catch. It's also about respecting nature. If you don't need the fish, let it go. The more you do this, the better your chances of catching more tomorrow. Personally, I've already caught plenty of crucian carp this season, so now I just release most of them. And you know what? It feels great. That's all for now. Thank you for watching and for sticking with me until the end. I hope this video was helpful and that at least one of these mistakes felt familiar to you. If it was, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. There's much more useful content, tips, and rig breakdowns coming your way. Wishing you steady bites, strong hook sets, and true trophy fish. Tight lines.